Hello, and I am doing a live again today at 4 o'clock. I'm sorry I did not give a heads up about that. Um, I have a really busy week and I'm studying pharmacology like a crazy person and also women's health. And we still have to do regular stuff like our school, the kids' school, and cleaning, kitchen, trying to find the recipe for the caramel syrup because apparently that caramel syrup that I made last week, the kids loved, even though it was super unhealthy, and it's gone. It's gone now. So they were on a hunt for finding the caramel recipe and I couldn't find it. And this was a huge distraction. And then they tried one recipe and burnt it, and tried another recipe and turned into crumbled sugar. And then I came in and said, I'll find the recipe, and I couldn't find the recipe. So anyway, normal daily distractions like that interrupt us. What else is going on? Annie's not here because she is hauling manure, and the other girls I think are working on Spanish because they have an exam and other stuff going on like that with their Spanish. So it's just me today, and I had a special request to talk about cleaning day and how I did that when the kids were little. So I thought that's a great idea for me, first of all, to do alone, and then second of all, to do with Annie especially, because Bronwyn and Ellie and Brooks our middle child, she's number 5. Bronwyn and Ellie are in the youngest crowd, and they don't really recall what that was like when they were the little kids. And how much do you remember before the age of 6? Only the really noteworthy things, the good memories and the bad memories, and that kind of thing. So I thought it would be good to do that with Annie when she's around sometime, to talk about cleaning day again, because she was one of the big kids. Bridget, she would be the queen of knowing how to answer all that, but she's not here, and she's has a little baby and she's pregnant. So trying to do anything live with her is a little bit challenging, even though she would be the one to give all the nitty-gritty details and the backstories and all the creative things that happened along the way of our days, and the funny stories, the terrible stories. But anyway, so I'll just talk today a little bit about how that looked for me as a mom. So first of all, I'll preface that by saying my husband worked all the time, and we had a farm. So he traveled with his work. So he wasn't around a lot to help with cleaning. So I couldn't count on him. When he did come home, he was tired. So I wasn't going to ask him to do more, even though I was also exhausted. That's just the way our life was. I don't know how we could have done it different at that time. Hindsight's always 20/20, and the choices that we make at a certain point are completely logical at that time. But then when you look back, 10 years later, 15, 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later, you say, maybe we should have zigged when we zagged. Hard to say. It's water under the bridge now. That's what I experienced. I was home with a lot of kids alone with not a lot of help. He was very encouraging of, if you need something, buy it. If you need help, we'll get help. And so there were certain times when I did have a cleaning person come in. Sometimes it was just for like a 6-month period. Sometimes it was longer. Sometimes it was, just once a month. Sometimes it was every week. It just depended on what else was going on, how old the children were. Because obviously with little children that aren't tall enough to run a vacuum, they can't. You have to do it, or someone has to do it. tricks I found very helpful were to limit the amount of space they had access to in the house during certain times. I'm thinking being home with a newborn and toddlers and preschoolers, when your children are all under the age of 8. Let's see, what's the classic 4 or 5 children under the age of 8? Those are hard years, and you don't have a lot of tall, strong help. Once you get past the age of 8, those older kids become truly helpful. Up to that point, it can be tricky. So limiting the space in the house meant that less of it was dirty or messy. It was just manageable. Sometimes I would lock a room that they were not allowed to go into, like our craft room, sewing room, that kind of thing. Other times it was a cupboard that had all the games. Have you ever had all of your games undone by a toddler? Or a filing cabinet? Ellie was our chief unfiler if she would get into the office room. So we had an office room that there's a long story, but anyway, this room that we used for our office had a door, like a physical open door on one wall. The other wall, there was no door at all. So if a small person got into our office room and nobody noticed it, they could wreak havoc. And that happened more than once. Eventually I got a baby gate to put in that doorway space so that would not happen. Anyway, she was the classic at pulling open the filing drawer and tossing papers. Have you ever seen a baby or a toddler do that with a laundry basket? We've all seen that, right? Well, imagine that with a filing cabinet. Game cabinet, another one, where you turn away and all of a sudden there's games and puzzles everywhere. Mixed up. Bad. So being able to lock those spaces or putting them in a room, putting them out of reach, those are all really helpful. Just side tactics on managing cleaning in a big picture way. On the weekly cleaning day that I would assign to, I always preferred to do it right before the weekend because I wanted to clean house for the weekend in case we wanted to do something, have friends over, have another family over, have family, our personal family. If we're having a birthday party, something like that, where people are coming over. So I wanted to have that option, so I preferred to clean on Friday for us. So Fridays, at a certain point in the day, we were done with school and our read aloud time, whatever, and then we would clean. And whatever person was capable of handling, that's what I would assign to that person. Of course, when there's only little children, they can't really do much. So using tools like a pack and play, or doing some of the tasks when the children are napping are useful. Sometimes it is just whatever happens, it's okay. I'm talking about like cleaning the floor, with lots of little children helping you mop. It's gonna get clean if everyone has a rag. It might be a messy process, but it's gonna get clean. So lowering standards as far as what a perfect picture of you cleaning the floor and it looking beautiful. Okay, just everybody pitching into it. Then it gets done. Dusting, same thing. I like to teach my children to, pick up the object, dust underneath it. Don't just dust around it and, But little children are going to dust part of a table, but not the whole table. You do what you can with what you've got. Be glad they're dusting. Encourage them, because if you give little children encouragement and just lift up their spirits and say thank you, they will still be grateful and be willing to help you when they're older. Don't you appreciate it when someone says thank you to you? So it's the same thing. Being grateful and encouraging. They're not your little slaves, so don't treat them like that. But also teaching them how to work will help them learn life skills that they carry with them through life. They'll know how, you don't just give something a swipe and call it dusted. No, you do the whole thing. You lift up underneath, you do the whole lamp, that kind of thing. When you vacuum, this is how you vacuum. So as they grow, encourage them and give them chores to do, because then they know how to do it and they will do it willingly. And then always after we did our cleaning time, we'd sit down and have a little treat. Maybe it was we'd have a little tea party, or we'd go outside and play. They had freedom, whatever. Maybe we would have a cookie. Maybe we would then make something fun as a group, in our clean house. Sometimes, it was an exhausting day or whatever, and we got through our cleaning work, or we're just going to lay down in front of the TV and veg out for half an hour or whatever on something. Always I had a plan for each room and taught them to work around the room. And when it was all little children and me, we worked together, and I didn't send them off, because if you send little children off to do work, they will get distracted and it's all over. They're with you when you're working. If your children are with you working and you're making it fun and you have music going and you're talking and you're laughing and you're joking, then work becomes fun. And you work in one room as a group. We're talking about little children. And you work around the room, give each person a task, and you stay together. If you have babies and toddlers, of course, throw them in the pack and play, a swing, do what you can with what you've got. And then when you're done with one room, move to the next room, and then around your house, whatever your goals are for that cleaning day. Always hit the dirtiest parts of the house. There's rooms that can be pushed off till later. Maybe you only hit a room once a month or twice a month, whatever. But for the most part, every week, if you can, clean the dirtiest parts of your house, which are the rooms that you live in, that you're actually working in and playing in, and where you are. The girls would make fun of my grammar. I write better than I talk. And then bathrooms, you can't, if you have like 5 little children over the age of 8, you can't all crowd in the bathroom, of course. So that's one where I would take, 1 or 2 or 3, maybe, depends on the age of the kids, and clean the bathroom with that group and teach them how to clean a toilet, top to bottom. Start in the bathroom, start at the top, go down. Another trick I would do when I had little children and no big children really to help was, if I was in the bathroom while they're bathing, I would clean the bathroom while I was in the bathroom with them bathing. You can't leave little children alone bathing. So I would just take that opportunity to clean while I'm in there. And that is probably, that's the best way to clean a bathroom, I think, when you have little children and no big children, and so it doesn't happen on cleaning day. Big deal. Bathroom's gonna need cleaned all the time anyway, so anytime you're in a bathroom, do something to clean it. And when you're in there with your children bathing, clean the bathroom. Also, if you just clean as you go all the time, that helps for when you're actually doing a cleaning time, because then it's not dirty. It's not as dirty as it can be if you do put it off for weeks at a time. I'm trying to think if I am covering everything that, although I'm sure tonight I'll think of all the other tips and tricks that I did with little children when we were cleaning. But just give them a wet rag that if it doesn't have cleaning stuff on it, that's fine. It's water cleans so much. just plain old water. Get off the dirt and the grime. If they're in the kitchen with you, and just ask them. They might only do it for 1 minute. They might do it for 5. You never know. A little, like a preschooler or a toddler, they might be cleaning 10 minutes later and you forgot all about what they were doing. And they've cleaned, a whole wall, and as far as they can reach up, and then you can see the grime above what they cleaned. Build them up. Say, thank you. Look at this work you did. This is awesome. It takes all of us. Encourage your children all the time, and they will learn that work is satisfying. That work is something that makes life more pleasant, that it's not a horrible drudgery. Sometimes it is, but there's satisfaction in getting that done. And if you teach them that when they're little, they'll know it up here forever. Let's also consider that our work is a blessing to other people, and that's something I always try to teach the children, is that this blesses our family for the evening, when we are, sitting around in our nice, clean living room and we're reading a story. We can look around and say, look, this looks so nice and clean because of the work we did earlier. That, and then also when people are coming over, the work we're doing is a blessing for company. The people that are coming, they have a clean place to sit down. They have a clean table to eat food on. They don't have to walk on a disgusting floor. The floor's clean. The bathroom's clean. People don't want to go to a house that's gross and dirty. They want to, feel safe. There's something safe about clean. That said, I hold no judgment on someone. If I show up at someone's house and their house is a mess and it's dirty, I understand, because I've been in that situation where I look around, how did this happen? That's life. Life is living, and living is messy and dirty. But it's not a good place to just be and hang out in that place, to just live like that. That's no fun. That's not fun for anybody, and it's not good for little children to grow up thinking that dirt is normal, and it's not safe. That's the nurse in me, and my mother was a nurse. You study microbiology? No. Clean. I think that's all for today, and I hope that this didn't last 15 minutes or longer. But I do feel like I was talking a lot. I think I do better when the girls are with me. So we will do the cleaning topic again next time with Annie, at least, maybe Brooke. She's still working on her school too, though. So, as far as her college, I think she has 3 weeks left of online college, and she's not like an online college. I love it, but she doesn't like it. That's all. If you want, you can go over to homeplainandsimple.com. I'm pretty sure in the free resource library there are cleaning lists, checklist type things where you can take it and you can just go down the list. Oh, that was another good thing that I always did, just to keep my tired and exhausted brain on track, was to have a list that I could just go down, check. And the kids also see the progress too. They can see, and they like to do it. So go cross this one off. We did it. Yay! That kind of thing. Encourage them. Unless they're encouraging. Checking things off is encouraging. All right. So till tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.